Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is Renegade Operative here, and welcome to a new video from me talking about my Nier Automata first impressions. I recently got done playing the demo not too long ago, and I wanted to give some first thoughts and overall impressions of what I thought about the Nier Automata demo. Now, I never played Nier before ever. I know there was a previous game prior to this, but I never played that game at all. The only thing I heard is that the first half of the first game isn't that great, and then the second half is kind of spectacular given word of mouth. So I'm going to reserve judgment and hop right into the gameplay portion with the last hour of my experience. The gameplay is obviously your hack and slash dinner party offered up to you in its simplest form. It's not as deep as stuff you would find in other hack and slash games like Devil May Cry, but it's serviceable enough to have some fun with the system. You can do ridiculous air combos and counterattacks to victory, all of which were surprisingly fluid. The way things flowed was very comparable to gameplay of Metal Gear Rising, with an easier dodge mechanic that surprisingly makes Nier Automata more concise and fixes a lot in mind with the dodging system. Granted, there are some things I didn't like the AI companion bot being a little too helpful at times when you're blasting away at enemies. There's a soft lock mechanic on hard mode when you get close to the enemies, and I think that should have been removed for the sake of making it even more challenging. And maybe they should have added like the bot overheating, put that in as a mechanic so you wouldn't be able to spam it over and over again and give other players the advantage. Make it a little bit more challenging. There were these moments where I felt while playing Nier Automata that the game was too easy on subsequent runs, and that's not to say that Nier didn't feel excellent to play. It just felt a little easy in my opinion with all the tools you were given, but it was fast paced, it was engaging in the process. I just hope the difficulty is stepped up in the main game and the bosses offer a little bit more of a challenge against 2B. Most of the learning curve seems a little bit limited, and a little bit more depth can go a long way for Nier Automata. So the 2D sections, let's talk about those. So while this is a hack and slash, there were moments where the camera changed to a certain perspective where the game was in 2D, where you were like side scrolling a little bit, you know what I mean? And there was top-down perspectives as well with the camera, and I felt these moments were really just kind of strange to me. Like transitioning from that, it was cool, but I felt that it didn't flow well with the dodging, because it's a lot harder to dodge into enemies and get that counterattack that you want, from what I noticed in 2D, than it is in 3D. So if I saw an enemy or something, I just shot the crap out of them. I wasn't going to waste my time trying to get a parry. Not sure if it's confirming or not, because the camera was in 2D and I couldn't see where the attack animation was specifically coming from because the camera angle was shifted. So I think that dodging in 2D is kind of pointless. You will probably get hit, and this really was prevalent on very hard mode when I played it. I tried dodging into an enemy to get a counterattack, and he just knocked my lights out. So that is something that I wouldn't recommend. I don't think that 2D really works for this game in particular as well. I mean, you could say that it kind of worked in Fury, but in terms of Fury, I mean, the camera was always consistent with the player, so I guess it worked out. It just panned out a little bit more so you can see the projectiles in Fury, but in Nier it kind of felt weird, so I wasn't vibing the 2D camera option at all. Now let's talk about the boss fights. From what I played, they are very easy to get a handle on when it comes to fighting them, and I'll admit the last fight with the cyborg suit was cool, but I don't think that the boss fights were as memorable as Metal Gear Rising. For some reason, they weren't visually appealing. They didn't really stand out, so I wish for more, very just fast and fluid and crazy boss fights in Nier Automata, but I wasn't seeing that here. But the colossal size of the bosses were a sight to see, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in the graphics section, which is right here. So let's get into these graphics, man. These graphics are pretty good. and serviceable. The graphics and performance were surprisingly spectacular. I mean, there's a wide array of animations and colossal boss fights where giant bosses are taking up the entire stage, and that scale is pretty well done. And there's so many effects swarming around your character that you'll feel like you're dodging crazy psionic bullets in the middle of an LSD trip. Is that fucking ridiculous? It ran very smoothly at a frame rate of 60 FPS, and I think the art style is just one of those clear-cut anime-inspired designs, while the levels themselves feel a little bit decayed aesthetically. I will say that Platinum also did a nice job supplementing the game with very unique level designs, so it didn't feel boring or tedious going through these levels. However, players will catch on to the linear routes that is prevalent throughout the experience. So let's talk about controls really quickly and difficulty. I'm going to get controls out of the way really fast because I feel I don't have too much to say on them. I thought they were great. I thought the way 2B corresponded to the button layouts were fantastically done. I think that the default control scheme, if you want to keep it that way, is just great. It worked well for all the moves that I was doing, all the fluidity, all the combos that I was doing. It worked surprisingly good, and you can customize controls. That is something that all developers need to do. Put in more customizable controls, so if I don't feel comfortable with something, I could change it, no problem. Let's mention the difficulty of Nier Automata. Now, I said this game can be easy on some certain segments, but when you bump it to very hard, that's where the true test begins. It seems like distance is the name of the game in Nier Automata on very hard difficulty, so I assume that's the way the game is going to play, by initiating yourself through these small processes, which I call Counterattack City. There's a move that you can do up in triangle, I believe, that breaks shields too, so that's very effective on very hard mode. And even the double excavators themselves, they didn't put up too much of a fight from what I played. I think the true challenge is going to be definitely the one hit kill parameter on very hard. The more you play through that demo though, the more you'll get the passion to want to master the game, to not want to get hit, and I think in that regard, it's very fair to work on. It's a very fair challenge to try to get through the game without being hit. The difficulty didn't scream unfairness. There's just a lot of player versus enemy obstacles, and you had to figure out how the enemies operated to get an advantage, and it never really felt cheap. So that's what I really enjoyed about Nier Automata. I think that the game has potential, but we have to see if they put any more depth into the experience, and hopefully they give you more moves too, because there was a leveling up system from what I noticed, and I wonder how that is going to be utilized in the full product. But these are my first impressions. Pretty good on Nier Automata. This is Renegade Operative signing off, and I gave you all my wants, desires, and needs, and hopefully this game is excellent and waifu 2B is spectacular as always. So I will see you guys next time. Remember to like, share, and be sure to comment, man. Tell me your thoughts on Nier Automata and what do you think should be improved, what didn't you like, what did you like, and I will take a look at it and converse with you in the comment section. See you later. Hopefully you have a good night, and peace out.